I got the invitation to go on this Armed Lutheran radio show, though. You know this guy? Have you seen this? There's two things that I would like to say that make me feel safe. Number one, the fact that there is a radio show called the Armed Lutheran Podcast somewhere in the world. That makes me feel safe.
Pistols, prayer, and potluck. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Armed Lutheran Radio, a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's Word says about the issues surrounding gun rights and gun ownership. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, and this is episode, I think it's 418. I'm going to have to double check that. That is correct. And this is our online hangout, the Reformation Gun Club online hangout for September 2024. And for those of you who don't know what that is, we are hanging out with members of the Reformation Gun Club, the men and women who make this show possible through their contributions to the show every month, or every year in this case. And and so we like to get together with them once a month and see what's going on with them and catch up. And you'll be seeing those folks here in just a moment. We got four of them queued up. If you would like to join the Armed Lutheran Radio Reformation Gun Club, if you would like to support the show, if you'd like to see it continue, then what I would recommend is visiting reformationgunclub.com and signing up today for just $36 a year. Actually, we've changed, as you probably heard in last week's episode. If you listened to last week's episode, we are now doing everything through Give, Send, Go. So donate what you can provide, whatever you feel is appropriate, whatever is works for you in these trying economic times. And come join us for our next online hangout. And it looks like we've got a handful of our usuals. We're going to bring them in now. But again, reformationgunclub.com to check out the Reformation Gun Club and to sign up. All right, let's get our members in here. And waiting for cameras to come on. Donnie is with us. David looking very comfy. Back from Tuscany.
Yeah, actually, we're in a cabin in Townsend, Tennessee.
Oh, very nice. Stuart is on his patio.
Yeah, my computer is updating.
How's the weather?
Fine here. Pensacola had no problems.
Very nice. I've heard tonight that some of my in-laws, for example, back in North Carolina, have been out of power for a while.
They need a generator.
Yes, they do. Tim and Steve are with us. How are you guys doing?
Good evening.
Awesome. And Stuart with an awesome looking cigar. Oh my gosh.
You must be feeling better.
I am. I realized I had done all this. Donnie, stop tempting us with all these awesome looking guns. Quit.
Mine's more awesome than that.
He's distracting me. Yeah, last night I was getting ready. I was about 7:00 and I realized it was such a busy day. I had not eaten anything since breakfast, and I went to grab something real quick before the hangout, and I was doing this number. I was having I think a sugar episode, and started kind of breaking out in a sweat and trembling and feeling like I was going to pass out. So I noshed on some peanut butter and jelly and a cookie or two and kind of sacked out. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Are you pre-diabetic?
No, I just had not eaten at all yesterday. Well, I had breakfast at like 6:00 and then breezed through the day with some coffee, and that was about it.
But those are the signs before your brain shuts down.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, my wife has those episodes, and I was like, oh, I know what this is.
When my blood sugar crashes, I get really stupid. I mean, verifiably stupid.
Well, that was kind of my worry, was like, all right, we start this show and I look stupider than usual. So I thought maybe this isn't such a good idea. I can't even open a jar of peanut butter with the way I was flaking out. Hey, Pastor, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you all doing?
We're good. We are good.
We'll be doing better in just a second here.
Oh,
Oh, you can drink again.
Oh, yeah. Well,
right.
special occasions. Days ending in Y.
Days ending in Y are special.
I was going to say Thursday night, that's a very special occasion.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Donnie's been chomping at the bit, so we'll get started with you. What have you been up to, and tell us about the goodies you've been teasing us with there.
This week I went to the range. I shot this baby here.
Whoa.
Ruger Blackhawk.
Nice.
It's a 45 convertible, and the Ruger Blackhawk, you can load the 45 up to where you're about halfway between a 44 mag and a 454 Casull. So that's my personal bear management device. I didn't shoot those rounds this week. I also shot a 22, and then this is my 38 special. It's a Ruger LCR. This is a free gun I got when I sold guns. This is not a fun gun to shoot.
No.
It's really light. I shot 15 rounds out of it, and that was probably 5 too many. But, so I've been to the gun club a few times and had some fun. Shot my crossbow too to check it out for the bow season. And of course, the next thing is a week from tomorrow we're gonna see Will in Arkansas. He's gonna meet us when we go down there, and he says he's gonna take me to either a brewery or a distillery.
Either way sounds great.
Yep. Drinking fireweed whiskey bourbon from Glacier Distilling, which is a Flathead Lake cherry flavored bourbon. So
nice.
Okay.
That is, but I've been shooting again, so that makes me happy.
Excellent.
Yeah. The other thing is that our senior pastor retired, our associate pastor's back, and I volunteered to start helping him out with visitation, and they've got my little kit with the consecrated wine elements in it. That's what I'm supposed to use. And what I've been doing more recently is, and he's still on the phone, is Vicar Peter is talking to just his mom now, but he's very happy where he's at.
Good.
Had a little accident with the car.
Oh no!
But an elder in the church's brother has a body shop.
Always good to have friends in high places or with connections.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the Black Hawk and shooting the bow, is hunting season coming up soon?
Oh, bow season is already in effect.
Okay.
And in Minnesota, I think this is the first year where everybody can use a crossbow. It's been just those people over 60.
What?
But yeah, for a crossbow.
Okay.
As opposed to a standard bow.
All right.
So everybody can use a crossbow now in Minnesota.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with all of the ins and outs of bow hunting, and certainly not with hunting law. So that's why that struck me as interesting, that you can't crossbow hunt unless you're over 60, or you previously couldn't crossbow hunt.
Virginia did the same thing a few years ago, but in Virginia, in order to use a crossbow, you had to get a doctor's note that there was something physically preventing you from pulling back
a bow.
from pulling a compound bow. So everybody got their fake doctor's notes. And then they finally decided, well, this is silly. We've got too many fake doctor's notes. So why don't we just open it up to everything?
Usually those obtuse hunting laws exist because at some point in time, someone did something very stupid and they figured, we've got to make a law to prevent people from doing stupid stuff like this.
Well, bow control doesn't work.
No.
Bow control. That's right.
Control.
It's like in Indiana, the hunting laws, it's very similar to anywhere where it's heavily populated that, shotgun only or black powder or pistol. And Indiana did something I wish Minnesota would do, that you could hunt with a rifle if it was chambered in a pistol caliber. So I've got a friend of mine that had a Henry lever action 44 mag. It's considered a handgun round, so he could legally hunt with that. In Minnesota, we still can't do that, unfortunately. Well, at least down this part of the state, if you go further up north where it's less populated, you could hunt with a 50 BMG if you wanted to.
Yeah, but about 50 miles north of me.
Yep.
Actually, Wisconsin now went that in any firearm except a few protected areas, you can hunt with a rifle now, because some of these shotguns they have now, I mean, Savage 320 will do minute groups at 300 yards.
All right. David, you're off in Tennessee today.
Yeah.
And you're from Kennesaw, where everyone's required to have guns.
Yes.
So tell us what you've been up to, and tell us about hunting, and or if you do any, what are the hunting laws like in your neck of the woods?
The only hunting I do are paper targets, pretty much so, and steel targets. I don't have the patience to hunt. If I get out on the range with a gun, I want to shoot something. But I did shoot a Glock match. My wife and I shot a Glock match last weekend.
Nice.
Shot a 104 and a 109. My design target is a 100, so I was a little bit on the slow side this time. But
okay.
But not too badly.
Is that where do you go for those matches? Is that a regular match that happens in your area, or is it something that comes around, like the matches that we shot, my son and I shot back when we were in North Carolina, were like once a year? Yeah. Well, these are Glock Sports Shooting Foundation matches. Mm-hmm. This particular set that we're doing, although I'm a USPSA member, and I've shot Steel Challenge a whole lot. But and then there's some local matches at our local range. But these are Glock matches, factory sponsored. So usually it's the same match in the same place each year. This particular one was in Talladega, Alabama. So we drove over on Friday. It's like 2 hours from my house. And got a hotel room, got up Friday morning and shot, knocked around town, had a good time, and drove home. Where was the range? Was it at CMP or was it? Yeah, it's CMP. And oh my gosh, it's a beautiful, gorgeous range. Yeah, I shot the 600 yard range there with my son-in-law a couple of years back. That was a wonderful experience. Just shooting a standard AR, but I was able to get on target at 600 yards. So nice. Yeah. It was windy and raining that day, so I won't say that those were great targets at 600, but at 300, 200, and 100, it was deadly enough. 10 ring kind of stuff. Nice. So it deadly enough with a 6X scope on it. So so I could see, what was going on. But the pistol bays at Talladega are just phenomenal. Yeah.
all in a line and real easy. So we had a little cart, just dragging it down the range.
Yep.
Shot a Glock 34 MOS, a Glock 19 MOS. So the 34 was an unlimited category. If you're familiar with the Glock rules, as soon as you start messing with the internals, you're in the unlimited category.
Unlimited, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's it has a aftermarket guide rod, so unlimited there, which I was in the really side of unlimited, because people in unlimited, a lot of them are turning in 60s and 70s, and and here I'm knocking around at 100. So,
what are the limitations on? It's been a long time, so refresh my memory. What are the limitations when you're in that unlimited division? Are there any limitations on what you can do to the gun?
Not really. You have to have it has to be on a Glock frame and a Glock and I think a Glock slide. But after that, it gets pretty loose,
pretty murky, right?
Yeah, because you can shoot an aftermarket barrel. You can have a weapon light on the front, dots or de rigueur. The
thumb brakes on the side, and
Glock performance triggers, aftermarket triggers,
Magwells.
Magwells. Yeah, just about anything goes in unlimited. That's why they call it unlimited.
And you're in there with your aftermarket guide rod.
Yeah, I got an aftermarket guide rod, and and I've got a magwell on it. So
okay.
And I slicked the trigger up a little bit. Not that I'm a gunsmith or anything, but just of course, the old joke about Glocks. The best trigger job for a Glock is a case of ammo. So I've been through more than one case with that one. It breaks nice, and so it's okay. It is what it is. I'm not an ace competitor. I'm
just high speed, low drag type.
Yeah, you've seen me. I'm high drag, low speed. I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
Round is a shape. Yes, that's what I try to tell my doctor.
And so my endocrinologist is not too unhappy with me nowadays. I've dropped some weight and stuff like that over the last couple of years. So, they're not too unhappy with me, but it's fun. Go out and, we see a bunch of people that we've known for, 15, 20 years, lot of shaking hands, flapping on the back, and, hugging the ladies. And so it's see the people from all over the country. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's the cool part of the shooting sports.
Yeah.
All right. Stuart, how are you, sir?
Well, I got 2 arms again, so I'm happy.
I noticed. That's very good.
Yeah. So now I can go out to the range finally again. And
always good.
Yeah. And got a new car.
I think I vaguely remember seeing a post about that. What did you get?
I went to the dark side, as some people say. I bought a Tesla.
Okay.
Oh.
Right.
Well, I have all these solar panels, and next month I'll know what the bill will be. See what it is.
My stock portfolio thanks you.
You're very welcome. I sold my Tesla stock. But I like it, and I'm not charging it tonight because I didn't do anything. Went to the commissary and went to Ace Hardware. Whoopie-doo.
So you'll have more to report from your shooting endeavors next month, then, I guess.
Next month, friends from church want to go.
Okay.
So
good stuff. What are you smoking tonight, and what do you got to drink?
I have a Gray Cliff, whatever. I can't read that. It's too small print. Anyway, it's a Gray Cliff cigar. And I'm drinking Bombay Sapphire Martini. Usually I don't drink them at 8 o'clock at night, but I didn't go downtown with Augie to sit at a cigar bar. So because I mowed the lawn, edged the lawn, blah 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 the lawn. So Augie and I stayed home.
Well, good deal. Say hi to Augie.
Hey Augie. Yeah. Gotta have 3 olives.
Very good. Shaken, not stirred, right? 007?
Shaken, not stirred.
Tim from up in Stuart's old stomping grounds. How are you?
You're speaking with this Tim, is that correct?
Correct.
Actually, it's been quite an eventful month. First of all, around June 7th, I brought my car in for an air conditioning service. And when I was driving away, it was missing for some reason. So I brought it back, and they said, well, maybe it's the coil and coil-on plugs. So we'll change the one that's registering on the computer. So they did. Nothing happened. And they said, well, there's other things we can do, but I think the dealership has tools that can help us diagnose this. So it took me 3 weeks to get an appointment just for a diagnosis, and they charge you $200 just for that privilege. And they said the same thing my guy said. He says, yeah, the coils on plugs are probably bad. And I said, well, they did that already. And they said, well, they only changed the one, and you've never changed this on a 20-year-old car. So maybe the other ones are just acting aged. So I had them change those at a total of $1,400. And of course, that didn't do anything. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. So that didn't do anything. So they said, well, the next step is the catalytic converters might be clogged. Of course, that produced a pregnant pause because it's not like I'm, losing a lot of performance on the higher end. It's just idling really, really rough. So based on their recommendation, I had that worked on. Well, of course, that did nothing. I took it back to the dealership and they said, well, maybe it's the timing chain and maybe it's the oil pump and maybe it's the man in the moon. And what time is it this month? And, they were going to give me an $8,000 job, which I refused. So I took it back to my guy and he said, well, they've done everything we would have done. In fact, everything we have done. So the next step is one of two things. You can either change the timing chain or you can just change the motor outright. And I said, well, I'm not going to change a timing chain on a whim just because it might fix it. I want to rather have it just fixed. So I went and got a remanufactured motor put in it. It took a month and a half to get the appointment for that. And now that the car has had the entire summer off, I now have a functional vehicle $9,000 later. So I kind of look at it this way. Wow. I kind of bought my car all over again. I just don't have to wait for the title and tags.
Oh, my goodness. You could have.
Okay, that's the horror story, but there's a better part to this. It has nothing to do with the car, and that is we have a monthly pistol shoot where I live, and it's just kind of a informal, people get together and have kind of an IDPA sort of thing going on. Okay. And I always bring obtuse weapons with me just to see how well I do. Well, I brought a Colt Snubby before, a Colt King Cobra, and did reasonably well considering it has only a 2-inch barrel. The last time around, I actually had to bring a semi-auto because I ran out of 38 specials. And the next time around, I think I'm going to bring my Model 2944. I'm going to shoot specials with it. But the reason I didn't bring it before is because every time I pulled the trigger, it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
I went to a gun show and found some Hogue grips for $60 for an end frame, hardwood grips. What do they call them? Powell Ferrell, I think is the name of the hardwood. And I strapped it on there and I went with 44 mags this time and it shot beautifully. Oh. So I think the next time around, I'm going to bring that guy around. The grips made a world of difference.
Okay.
Getting off the guns for just a moment, tonight's specialty, it's almost right. There we go, is Tomatin. Tomatin is a nice Highland Scotch. It's also not terribly expensive. And next week, I get to go to the land of peat and barley.
Nice.
Yes.
Sweet.
Going to spend a full week there, going from distillery to distillery. And it's legitimate day drinking this time, not just the old, run-of-the-mill stuff you do every summer. It's by a company that does bespoke tours. And what that means is it's not, 15 people stuffed into a bus going from place to place. It's kind of like a relative kind of showing you the countryside. So we have him for a week. And it turns out the guy is like the master of malt. He's kind of like a Scotch specialist. Has been published many times. Yeah, we are paying for this, so it's not some cheap guy that was found in a pub someplace. But I've been there once before a couple of years ago in Speyside, and this time we're going on the West Coast. Isle of Mull, Isla, Oban, for example, Tobermory. I mean, places like that. So I just can't wait. That's Monday. We're out of here Monday.
Nice.
Wow.
So you'll have some stories for the next hangout.
Yeah, provided that I can remember them. And thank you for inviting me back after last month. I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah. Always glad to have a new face. Glad you got to be with us last month, and sorry for the delay tonight to this month's episode.
It's okay. This time I'm on time instead of an hour late.
Oh, that's perfect. The 44 mag reminded me, I haven't done this in a while, but I used to shoot IDPA regularly, and one of the matches that I would make every year religiously was the Texas State match. And I remember there's a guy, I wish I could remember his name. He would come to every match dressed to the nines. So he had fancy cowboy boots. He didn't have, he wasn't the high speed, low drag guy with the shoes and the shorts. And, he had a big cowboy hat on, suit coat, tie, vest, slacks, big cowboy boots, and he was shooting a 44 mag revolver, and you could hear him all over the range. Whenever he was shooting, you knew he was on the line.
Well, next month it will make my day, I'm sure.
I got pictures of him, but I never got to actually see him shoot. I would love to have seen how that turned out. I bet taping the holes in those targets was fun.
Well, I
may as well just replace the target.
I'm not as smooth with a revolver as I am with a semi. I mean, if I need an ego boost, I'll just go out there with my Beretta 92 or CZ75 and, plug 3-inch groups at 25 yards. But if I want to, find my weaknesses, for one thing, reloading revolvers under stress is one of my weaknesses that I'm working through. For semis, it's no big deal. Push a button, pop a mag, slam the slide back, and you're back in business. With the revolvers, more than once during one of these shoots in full public view, I've dumped the entire speed loader all over the ground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a buddy of mine who's in Mississippi, who decided one year that he was going to make it his goal to make master in revolver. And every time you'd see him in a match, he did not look like he was having fun. By the end of the season, he was like, that's it. I can't believe I've done this. I'm tired of this. No more revolver. He did not make master. It was a punishing slog to run through a season dealing with reloads and trying to figure out your how many shots you put on each thing before and where your reloads take place in each stage. And he was like, I saw him one day and he was like, why did I do this to myself? What am I doing? And the next year he'd given up and he'd gone back to his semi-autos.
Well, I'm a stock weapons guy. I try to be a master's weapons craft, everything from flintlock all the way to ARs and whatever else that I can lay my hands on. But there are guys that show up with this pistol shoot with high speed, low drag guns with the twisted barrels that rotate in the breech and the mag wells that look like the business end of a tuba and all this stuff. The buckets on the hip, and I look at them thinking, if this is to kind of prepare yourself for an encounter in Safeway, are you really going to wear all that crap?
Oh, no, that's not what they're doing.
No.
No. Steve,
Yes.
I'm going to let a cat out of the bag here. Our newest contributor, who is, I mentioned this in last week's episode that I'd reached out to some members, and Steve had actually reached out to me preemptively and beat me to the punch and reminded me of an idea that I had and kind of spurred me to make a move. And so Steve is one of the gun club members who's going to be providing us some content in future. Hopefully I'll get together a variety show for next week, and we'll get to hear what Steve got for us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you. And actually, the thing is, after I recorded that episode, I went out and I shot another 22 match that, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how much fun 22 rifles are at long range. I've been doing all this training. I've been doing a lot of shooting over the summer and really kind of tuning myself up. But there's nothing like a match to kind of show you where you're at. And so we start the second target that we shot at was a mover at 145 yards, and not a huge target, and it was moving at about 3 miles an hour. And I know I hit 3, and that was, I'm not sure anyone else hit 3. Nobody cleaned that stage. So I felt pretty good about that. And then we were shooting targets all the way up to 340 yards. And 340 yards with a 22 rifle, you've got to dial a huge amount of elevation. I was dialing 14 mils of elevation. So yeah, it was, and I was hitting them. And I didn't place as, I wasn't one of the absolute top guys, but I wasn't far off. Nice. I was close enough to make me pretty dang happy with it. So that was a good time.
Do you do apple?
Do I do what now?
Apple seed?
I have not done apple seed. Everyone keeps telling me I need to do an apple seed, but I haven't. I have access to a range. Well, it's a farm, and I have unfettered access to it. So I get out there, and I can get out to about 300 yards shooting prone, and I can get out to 500 yards off of a tripod. And there's a local group that has monthly, they call them fun shoots. It's just a belly match. And they've been doing it with center fire rifles. And I've been using that to kind of show myself how I'm doing with that. But they decided to try a 22 fun shoot, and they've announced they're going to be doing a lot more of those because everybody just had a blast at it.
And it's a lot easier on the wallet to go through 22, even now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so that's been, the 22s has been something that I'm big on, but I'm still working with the center fire as well. So next week I am going to, well, not next week, but the following week, I'm going to Ohio to a long range class with Frank Galley.
Okay.
So taking my SIG Cross, which weighs about half what most other precision long range rifles do. But I've been doing pretty well with that, been pretty comfortable with it. And I'm getting to the point where I really feel pretty confident. And I'm looking forward to some really very high level training with that to, again, just kind of smooth out and improve what I've been doing. So looking very, very forward to that. Unfortunately, his 3-day class filled up, so I'm doing his 2-day class. But that should
cool.
that should take care of my itch for that for a while.
Good deal. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking some Angel's Envy.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
It is.
I'm not a whiskey snob at all, but yeah, this one's pleasant.
Oh yeah, and at that price point, it should be.
Yeah, they did have a sale on it at the local ABC, so, and they don't have sales very often.
Well, good deal. Pastor, how are you doing, sir?
I can't complain.
Nobody would care if you did. Go ahead. How's the ear?
Well, it still rings a little, but I'm ready to try playing my horn again. But no, it's someone had asked about, I'm able to drink again. And Monday of last week, I had my 1-year echocardiogram and my heart is 100% back to normal. So
awesome.
I was told to keep taking my medication. It helps that I've been exercising regularly and losing weight. Yeah, so I'm imbibing a little more frequently now, thanks to that.
Very good.
So tonight's menu includes monkey shoulder. For the price point, you really can't hardly find a better whiskey. So it's a Scotch. It's brain fart. William Grant and Sons, and it's from 3 of their Speyside distilleries blended into one. Balvenie, Kinninvie, and Glenfiddich. And it's very, very good. If you were doing a blind taste test, you would think it was a $60 to $70 bottle of Scotch. So it's, and
wow,
Tim,
that's not expensive at all.
Yeah, no, it's $30. It's $30 for a bottle. So,
nice.
Yeah, it tastes like
Scotch.
$5 Scotch. Yeah. So, and Tim, I would be lying if I didn't say you caused me to violate the 9th commandment in coveting your vacation. So,
Monkey shoulder, that's more of a blending Scotch. It's not really a straight up Scotch. So if you mix it with tonic or something like that.
Yeah, it's used predominantly as, for making different cocktails. Yeah. But I just bought it one day on a whim. And for me, if I can't drink it neat, it's not worth buying. And it's one that it is very smooth. It's got a very good flavor profile. And yeah, it's good stuff. So gun-wise, haven't been doing too much. I ended up selling my Saiga that I had custom built. So Saiga is made by the Kalashnikov concern. Is that what it's called? Kalashnikov concern?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird name, but it's Kalashnikov. It's as close as you can get to the legitimate article without, actually having the name Kalashnikov on there. And I actually turned a profit based, off of what I had invested in it. So I was all right with that. Turns out one of the newest gun club members, or Reformation gun club members, lives like 20 miles from me. So
Finlayson, is that where he is? I'm not sure. Is that
he's from Nicollet. This would be Peter from Nicollet.
Peter from Nicollet.
Yep. And the person who had turned him on to Armed Lutheran Radio was the disreputable Bartlett, who went to Bethany Lutheran College, just about 25 miles from me, and lives not far. So at some point in the future, we're going to get together. But he came out to my place, and, I told him, I'll let you shoot it before you buy it. And that kind of sold him right there. So,
oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. So we shot a little. I know that earlier David was talking about triggers on Glocks, and I think the best bang for the buck on stock triggers are Chanik pistols. So we shot I have a Chanik TP9 SFX, which is kind of it's a clone of the Walther match pistol. I forget the exact model number.
PPQ.
I think it's it's the PPQ match or something like that. I forget what it is. But I have a reflex sight on that. One of those Sig Romeo sights that I got for dirt cheap off of eBay. It was fun shooting
when the
that.
PPQ came out and everybody raved about the trigger. And then when the Janiks came out and the TP9 SF came out, that trigger is just fantastic. It's so much. It's better than the PPQ trigger was.
Well, and I've got 2 of them because I like the trigger so much. I got the SFX and then the basic TP9, and and I don't know what the price is for these now, but I think my SFX, I got that for $329, and the TP9 I got for $289 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's impossible to find something with a better trigger at that price point. So we shot a little bit of that and shot the AK, and then went to my FFL and did the transfer, and he's happy. And I came out with $2,000 in my pocket that went to medical bills. So yeah, I did tell him though that if he ever decides that he wants to sell it, he has to give me first crack at it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Lloyd, I got a question for John there.
Mm-hmm.
John, did you hear that Ray Smith died? Do you remember him from seminary?
I do. I saw that. And yeah, he wasn't, I know he was a little bit older than me. He was a second career guy, but
56. He was only 56, John. That's 12 years younger than me.
Yeah. There was another guy, he used to be a pastor 7 miles from me. He was an 07 grad from St. Louis, and he happened to know one of my friends that had come with me to Fort Wayne that ended up transferring to St. Louis. And he was 64 and just dropped dead, I guess, a week ago. So
we had a guy here in Pensacola. He was 62, just died. Wow. Of course, it was hot, and he was overweight, and amongst other problems. But
take care of your health while you still can.
Yeah, I've lost 50 pounds.
Good for you. You look good.
No, thank you.
I'm not quite that close, but I've lost about 12. So,
well, congratulations, John.
It's amazing what cutting out carbs can do.
So just drink whiskey.
That's right. That's right. They say it's keto friendly, so I'm not quite doing the whole keto thing or the carnivore diet. I'm just, if it's got carbs, I try and avoid it and keep it down to about 100 carbs a day, no more than that. But yeah.
So one of the best tips I got for eating and to keep the weight down is to eat as close to the ground as possible. Meaning that you eat, beef that doesn't have a lot of the hormonal stuff. I don't know if you can avoid that these days, but lots of vegetables, lots of grains, stuff that is not processed. And it's amazing how fast the weight comes up.
Yep.
I'm a Weight Watcher since 1972, so I got
Oh, good. No, I also fast 1 day a week, and it sounds strange, but between cutting out the carbs and that 1 day a week fasting, I don't get the food cravings I used to have. It's incredible how much my body has changed with just, I no longer feel the need to have to eat all the time. So it's actually quite wonderful. And of course, whiskey is a almost no carb
fast friendly.
So
and cigars.
And cigars. And cigars. I need to start looking at ordering some more because I need a little more variety with my humidor selection.
Yeah. Scotch is very, very close to the ground, Pastor, so don't give that up.
That's right. Nope. It's good for your heart and good for the soul. I find myself less angry when I'm having a dram of scotch.
Well lubricated, yes.
Oh, by the way, Lloyd.
Yes, sir.
I finally got my concealed carry permit for Florida, even though you don't need it anymore.
Very nice.
8 months after I applied,
8 months?
Don't be in a hurry. Don't have a background.
What on earth?
8 months, that's crazy. Minnesota state law, that the county sheriff has to issue it within 4 weeks. Yeah.
I didn't care. It arrived in the mail.
I guess they figure since you can carry without, they don't.
There's no hurry.
There's no rush.
Indiana was nice. It was 2 weeks. You didn't have to do any classwork at all. You go in, you fill out the paperwork and pay your $25 fee, and it was good for 4 years.
That's Georgia. No, you have to have fingerprints on file, 5 years, $55, I think it is.
It's probably my history in the Navy.
And maybe so.
Yeah, and all the stupid things I've done in my life.
He served this country. There's got to be something wrong.
There's got to be something wrong.
There's definitely something wrong.
Mike, how are you, sir? Another from the land of 10,000 links, or is it 1,000 links or 10,000? It's 10,000, right?
10,000. More like 12 to 13, but basically 10.
I thought that was just a silly slogan until I flew into Minneapolis for the first time. And when you come in on a sunny day and you can see out the window, and it's like, okay, there's 10,000 lakes. I believe it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And this summer we had more for a while.
Mm-hmm. It was a crazy spring.
It was a crazy summer. June was nice.
Yeah. A lot of rain.
Now it's dry, but it's okay.
All the rivers and creeks are real low now. Yeah.
Has it snowed yet there?
Oh,
no.
It's been hot.
80 today.
Comfy.
It's supposed to be too hot.
Nah.
I'm ready for some cooler weather.
We're finally getting out of the 90s, so 80 would be great.
Ugh. No thanks. 90s are for July. That's why we live up here.
Not in Texas. So what have you been up to?
Oh, I don't know. Just getting not too much. Had a family wedding earlier this month, gearing up for fall. Just, I don't know. There's always stuff to do, but don't ask me what I did. I'm always on the run, getting stuff done. But I don't know. Yeah, my life is good. Exactly. There's plenty of parents, it's every week, go check on the parents, help them. It's just always stuff to do, but nope. I'm looking forward to fall when it arrives. So,
right. What are you drinking tonight?
I am out of the box. I actually went across the border. I have it's a strawberry rhubarb beer from New Glarus. So from those from Minnesota, know that you have to go across the border to get it. But on a hot day, and I've been outside all day, I was like, this looks tasty tonight.
Nice. You always have some interesting choices.
That's what everybody says. They're like, where do you find it? I'm like, I don't know, just go shopping. If I go to a town and I have time, I check out the liquor store and see what they got, or go search something out specific. So I don't have anything ordinary. Actually, it's funny. A friend of mine, we trade. If we find stuff interesting, we will trade stuff. And this is about a couple years ago. I opened the bag. She's like, I put something special in there for you. I'm like, okay, what's this? It was a Busch Light. I'm like, she goes, I know you don't have it in your fridge. And I'm like, no, I do not.
It's different.
Yep.
If you're looking for something different and you're near a Trader Joe's ever, look for Lindemann's Framboise Lambic. It is very, very good. It's a Belgian. It can only be brewed in Belgium because it utilizes some sort of local, I think they call it a bacteria of some sort that
they have the copyright for or something.
No, well, yeah, it's some weird thing that the environmental requirements for brewing this specific type of, and it's not really a beer. It's kind of a cross between the beer and a liqueur. But I had a lot of that when I was in college. It's raspberry framboise lambic. I should have been more specific. It's so good. But Mike, you and I got to get together sometime because you're only about 40 miles away from me.
I am not that far away from you, no.
Yeah.
And I work in Mankato. So.
Oh, you do? Okay. How are things work? I know that Rudy Maurer's been helping out there at Trinity, right?
Oh, yeah. He's great.
Good. I know him because he used to be our circuit visitor, and he was just about in fact, my wife's first teaching job in Minnesota was at his former congregation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Rudy is great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So appreciative that he is helping.
Are you working in the leadership there at Trinity?
Yeah, I'm the head elder.
So
I've been on the call committee for 3.5 years.
I know I was on the short list at one point, so.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, hope one day we will find somebody. The right man will finally arrive.
The Lord will provide.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, between church, we talk about things going on. It's like I'm chair of the board of elders. The board of elders is the call committee, so I chair the call committee, and they prefer the chair of the board sit on leadership council. So I sit on leadership council as well. So
Hey, Mike, Tim here.
I am not bored.
Yeah.
For call committees, we figured out we can delegate it. You have an elder who's kind of like overseeing it. We have the actual church pick a pastor.
You know, the great thing is if you try and get a seminary graduate, they can't say no.
No, but we're too large of a congregation for that. We need a senior pastor first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, anyway. It's been an interesting ride. Let's put that
We
way.
lost our pastor of 22 years, our senior pastor. So I'm an elder too. At Trinity, by the way, too.
Very, very common.
Did you just say seminarians can't say no to a call?
That's correct.
Well, I've heard of cases where a guy did say no, and he was basically blacklisted by most of the district presidents. So it's highly frowned upon if you decline your assignment from your call placement in seminary. So mine seemed to work out really great because I've been here 19 years and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we've had 3 calls returned, so it's getting a little old right now.
Keep going. I've had 8.
Yeah. Oh. Well, and right now the situation is that there's roughly 1,000 vacancies in the synod, and there's an estimated 1,000 pastors due to retire within the next 10 years. So
are retired.
Yeah, and with 4,000 congregations, roughly, give or take a few hundred, I mean, you're looking at half the congregations in the synod being vacant within the next 10 to 20 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lot of bi-parishes and quite a few tri-parishes now, too.
Well, we've got a quad right now just south of me.
Yeah, that's going to be the future is multi-point parishes, either that or churches consolidating into one. I mean, it's where I live. You've got 18 Missouri Synod churches within a 15-mile radius, something like that.
That many over there.
Yes. Wow. And a lot of it goes back to the horse and buggy days. You know, back in those days, no one wanted to go more than 5 miles to get to church. And you had, every section of farmland was, 3 or 4 families, and each family had 6, 10 kids, whatever, and so the churches were full back then. The rural population in this area has declined by over 50% in the last 50 years. So really what the problem is that you have more churches than you need, but how do you determine which churches have to close their doors and where do they go worship and that sort of thing? So I've been trying to say for years, our church is the mother and grandmother church of most of the churches in the area. So they should all close the doors and come here.
And come there.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough deal for some churches because some of those
it is
very nice churches in the country, and it's like
when it's the church that Grandpa built, and you're looking at the prospect of having to close. And I was a vacancy pastor at a church that closed back in 2021, so it's a painful process for churches. They want to hang on as long as they can.
Washington's even worse because we are very low churched. I mean, it's just the way it is around here. And we are in the middle of a call right now, and we already called 2 pastors, and both of them declined. We're working on another one now, and it's kind of looking like that. I mean, the pickings are slim if you don't really mind the expression.
Yep. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting. Like our circuit, a lot of the churches around us have all gotten pastors, but we have not. We're a larger church, and we have a school, which adds to the more complexity, and so it has narrowed our group of options some.
Yeah,
because of the size and
more than people want to, more than
people
bite off.
Yep.
More trouble.
Yep.
I think that's
responsibility, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a part of it, but it's also, I hate the phrase when you're talking about churches trying to find a pastor, but it really is a buyer's market right now. That for when you have as many vacancies as there are, I know guys that have had, 3-4 calls within a year's time. And I hate to say it, but it's going to get to the point where unless you're really offering a top-notch salary, there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to say, no, I've got a better offer somewhere else. And that's not the way it's really supposed to work when it comes to, I don't know if everybody here is Missouri Synod or not, but, and everybody has, for myself, my wife's a Lutheran school teacher, and I've got kids that are in high school. So if you don't have a Lutheran high school within decent driving distance, and you don't have an opening for a Lutheran school teacher in the area, I'm not going to consider the call. If it's during the middle of the school year, I'm not going to consider pulling my kids out of school in the middle of the school year and asking my wife to quit her job. So, and I know that there might be a lot of other Missouri Synod folk out there listening to this or watching this stream. And, it's, if you've got a school or you're looking to call somebody who's got a teacher for a spouse, time it the right way. If you're looking, make that call in April or May as opposed to December when it's, I'm not going to do it to my wife or to the school where she teaches to leave them stuck without a teacher in the middle of the school year.
Yeah, Pastor, you brought up a really good point, especially here in Washington. We're fighting for the lead on the highest cost of living with, California and Illinois and other places. Blue states are extraordinarily expensive to live in. So with the salaries that we have to offer a pastor, we go by district recommendation, but we can't quite match it. We can get like 90% or so, but we can't quite get there. And when you have some guy from, Iowa, looking at Washington thinking, oh, wow, that's a great salary. And then they start looking at the cost of living and it's like, well, not so great.
You don't have a parsonage, do you?
No, we do not. We do have a school, which is helpful, but at the same time, it's hard to find a pastor who can handle that. There's no kid out of the seminary that's going to be able to manage a school and a congregation at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, schools have their own problems.
Yeah,
and especially if they went to Seward, that's another story altogether. The teachers, when I was in Hebron, the one teacher that didn't go to Seward was the most confessional quote teacher they had at the school. The rest, were ELCA previous rejects, and so.
Fortunately, Seward has changed significantly in recent years. They now are one of the more confessional of the Concordias. I'd say they're right on par with Mequon as far as being confessional. Their new president has, not new, he's been there a while now, but he's really turned that place around.
Hey, I was going to ask, are you going to go up to the Reformation lectures at Bethany?
I haven't gotten any emails saying when they are, so I'm not sure when they're happening.
They're at the end of October, like right around Halloween.
Oh, that's right. They have those every year, yeah.
But did you see who's coming?
No, I didn't.
Harrison's going to be there.
Oh, wow.
And all three ELS, Wisconsin Synod, Missouri Synod presidents are going to be there. Go to their Facebook page and look it up.
It'd be really nice if these three synods could finally get their act together and be in fellowship again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Harrison, the guy who told my son when he was assigned, I hope you have a rifle.
Hang on a minute. Let's get Will in here because he looks like he's...
Will's here.
Will is having an animated conversation in a vehicle in the dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my 14-year-old son is driving us home from church.
Oh, dear.
In a stick shift in the dark. Now he's in reverse, so pray for me. Oh, that was a curb. And so was that. Yeah, let's go forward.
All right, we may need a pastoral blessing
so
here.
I'm not watching so close.
I'll see you in 8 days, Will.
You'll be here. So that day, I think I'm going to be in down by Fort Smith with my wife and my boys for a mountain bike race. So I will be back to see you. I just need to know exactly what time you're going to be in, because we'll take separate cars. That's much better. Thank you. But yes, I am looking forward to seeing you.
I'll text it to you, but it's just before noon.
Perfect. Okay, then I will be ready for you.
Just before noon on the 5th.
On the 5th, yes. So the question is, are you going to have time to do something? Like if I brought a couple pistols, can we go to the range real quick? That's kind of on the way to where you're going in Branson, or are you really just passing through and we have enough time for a cup of coffee?
We can do something. I mean, we have to be, I'm going to say we have to be at Branson about no later than 5:30.
Oh, we got some time. Perfect. Okay, then we'll stop by Hobbs State Park and do a little pew pew before you get going.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we're home. I'm gonna start going inside. So, since the last time we saw you, since the last time I saw you guys, my best friend's dad, whom I grew up with, he was kind of a surrogate dad for me in certain respects. He had a stroke, and he knows the Lord, and there's no concern for that. But he's now having to relearn all sorts of things, including talking and walking. And that was a little over a month ago. I think it happened just before our last call. But last weekend, I had the opportunity to fly down to Austin and spend an extended weekend with him. And we ended up just getting him up and walking, which right now that's part of his basic therapy. But he hadn't been into his shop in behind his house. It's a shed in the backyard where all of his reloading equipment is, where all of his guns are. Not all, but where it's his little man cave. And I tell you, from when I saw him on Friday, and just the difficulty moving around and the joyless speaking, to when I saw him on Saturday, and we said, "You want to get up and go to the shed?" Everything changed. His visage just lifted. He was standing straighter. He was walking straighter. He's still leaning one direction, so he's on a walker. But we got him out in the grass after we were out in the shed building an AR, and we got him walking without use of a walker. I mean, just as a test. And he was able to do short bursts at a time. He had walked more that day between going back and forth to the shed, running a few errands, going to lunch, dropping off glasses to the glasses store, going to the gun store, than he'd walked the entire week. And he was tired and sore the next day, but he's like, can we do it again? I mean, just like a kid in a candy store. And it was, I tell you, one of the most exciting. It was legitimately, we were doing gun therapy for him. And it was so encouraging seeing that turnaround real quick. Obviously not a lasting thing. It was just, one good step in the right direction in his therapy. But this is something he's been doing for years and years and years, and he hadn't been able to do in more than a month. And it was so encouraging just to be able to see it, for one, but also to be there with him and walk with him in a few steps of his journey. I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
So you're not drinking anything tonight, thank goodness. I know you're out with your son driving. How long has he been? Is he still? He's 14, so he's not got his permit or well, does he? I guess
no.
He has.
So in Arkansas, you can get your permit at 14.
At 14, okay.
So at about 13, a little over 13 and a half, out on our church grass, we've got a couple big acres of just grass. He started learning to drive. So I have a manual transmission Volkswagen Golf Alltrack.
Awesome.
And he has not driven an automatic to date. So he's been driving for at least a year. The first couple months before he got his permit was just on the grass at church, and he's been on the street ever since then. So he's got 9.5 months of on street on a manual. a couple times on the freeway, but he's actually a really good driver so far.
Awesome.
Yeah, very very conscientious. It's been really encouraging.
That's a
I
great
learned
way
to drive
teach
on
him
a
to
manual, and that's learning on a manual. It makes you a better driver, I think.
You're connected to the car. You're connected to the road. You're cognizant of what's happening underneath your butt. You're cognizant about what's happening on the road around you. I mean, everything about it is it really plugs you into the experience of driving. And so I think I've told him at least once, if he wants us to help him buy his first car, it's got to be a manual. Otherwise, he's on his own.
You're less likely
With a
to
revolver, it makes you a better marksman.
I still don't own one of those.
You're less likely to lose focus because you have to focus on what you're doing. You can't just sit back and zone out.
Yep.
In a manual. I grew up on what was it? I learned on it was a Pontiac Le Mans with the stick shift on the
3 on a tree.
On the column.
Yeah.
So that was an experience, and went from that to a Volkswagen Golf.
Woo.
Yep.
It's a lot more fun driving the stick too.
It is.
It is. You're right. Yeah.
I don't worry about that now anymore.
Yeah, you just got one of those boring
1950
Teslas.
GMC with a 4-speed.
Nice.
I still own part of the truck.
64 Volkswagen.
Say that again.
64 VW Bug.
Ooh, I had a 78 Bug.
I had a 64 Opal.
Ooh.
Nice.
An exotic now.
I almost had an Opal for my first car. One of my brothers was working at a Christian camp in Northern California, and I was considering taking my junior and senior years up with him, and would have gone to the local high school. And there was this guy down the street. He had the cutest daughter, but let me tell you, this is how he spelled his name: Uren. Want to guess how he pronounced his name?
I don't want
Yes. He was Mr. Urine. He was Mr. Urine. He was that kind of guy who just has like 50 or 60 cars in various states of decomposition on his property. And he had 2 Opals of the same year or same body style. And we talked about getting both of those and using one for parts and fixing up the other if I were to move out there with him. That didn't end up happening, and that's a different story. But I considered getting an Opal for my first car with my mechanic brother who worked for the camp.
Will, are you from California?
Unfortunately, yes, I am.
What part?
Orange County. So 10 miles inland up Highway 39.
No, I went to school at Concordia Irvine. I'm from the San Fernando Valley. So
okay, so a little bit north and a little bit where's Irvine for me?
I call it Satan's armpit, but that's just me.
Yeah. I always thought Satan's armpit was San Francisco, but yeah. I mean, Orange County is a little bit nicer than
it is
than San Francisco area.
Yeah.
Sacramento's still more conservative, but yeah.
So this Mr. Urine, if he had too much to drink, was he piss drunk?
I didn't get to know him that well.
I'm sorry.
Although, go ahead.
You Southern California boys are all screwed up. Because, growing up in Marin County, back before things went to hell, and it was very nice.
Marin's still pretty, but it's too close to San Francisco for my liking.
San Francisco was always weird. That I know. We used to go sing Christmas carols on the cable cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They didn't throw eggs at you or anything?
No. This is the 1960s.
Okay. So you're saying they threw marijuana at you?
Oh no, they didn't throw it; they just blew it at him.
So yeah, Mr. Urine, my brother bought a Volkswagen Scirocco from him, and
awesome.
Those are cool.
I was 15, and I was in the middle of getting my permit when my brother asked me to come out and visit, and so I didn't actually have my permit yet. It was about a mile down the dirt road from the camp, and he didn't have a trailer, so he literally bolted the front bumper of the Volkswagen to the back bumper of an old Dodge not dually, but 4-door pickup truck. And he let me drive it down the road, trailing the Volkswagen. And there was this one turn that was real tight, and everyone always took it real tight. I didn't have any experience, trailing something behind me. So here I am trying to drive this thing, and I get all excited because I'm behind the wheel of this turn that I always wanted to kind of go fast on. I took it too tight. And I took it tight fine for the car I was driving, but not for the the car that was trailing behind me. And I ended up knocking over the sapling tree. To this day, was growing at a 45-degree angle because the back fender of the Volkswagen knocked it over.
Oh boy!
And that was just the first of 3 times I crashed that Volkswagen that summer.
And you're teaching your boy to drive.
I tell you, my brother
he knows
Frank.
what not to do.
I know what not to do. My brother Frank was very gracious, and I learned a lot of patience and graciousness from him, specifically because of that Volkswagen Scirocco. Another time I was backing it up and I dumped one of the back wheels into like a decorative hole that had a bunch of large river stones in it. He was right there. He actually saw me do it. And he laughed at me. And then he built up a little bridge with the stones and he drove it out and said, "All right, don't do it again." And then a couple weeks later, I'm driving at like 5 a.m. with the Wranglers. We're trying to go up where I got to drop some of them off to let the horses out. And it's foggy as all get out. I can't see very far. The defroster doesn't work for anything. So I'm sticking my head out the window on a cold, soggy, wet morning. And I've got to come inside to shift. And by the time I got my head back out, the road had turned, but I had not. And so I literally go off the road. And here's the funny thing about it. There was let's see here, very large rock that was just directly in front of where the road was, in part why the road curved. And up until a couple weeks before, there had been a sapling there about, 4 or 5 inches in diameter. And for whatever reason, someone chopped the tree down. I don't know if it was in the way or what the story was, but they chopped the tree down. Had they chopped it any higher, I would have crashed into it with a bumper and severely damaged the car. Had they chopped it any lower, I would have rolled right over it and smashed into that rock and ruined the car. As it was, I was going slow enough. It was an uphill. I had 4 people in the car with me. And the way I hit it, I went over the top of the stump with a little wind apron on the Volkswagen, and it just stopped and rested, and I stalled out with it resting on the frame about this far from hitting that rock.
Wow.
So we got a big jolt, and we were all wide awake, but at least after that. But there was no severe damage to the car, a little scratch on the little wind apron and a little dent in the frame where I jacked it up and pushed it off. But no severe damage. And I went to him later that morning, one of the few mornings I didn't see him, all throughout the day. And I walked up to him at lunchtime and I handed him the key and said, "I'm sorry, here's what happened. And I'm just really sorry." And he looked at me and he took a couple deep breaths and he said, "I heard about it from about 5 different people." And
The
this is the first time I saw you. And his quasi stepmom. That long story short, my dad was an alcoholic and like an angry, belligerent drunk. And in high school, he moved out of our house. He was the only one of us 7 kids who did not graduate from the same high school because he moved in with the head wrangler in his family, Norm and Sylvia, and graduated high school living with them, the whole other town way in Vista, California. And at that camp, they had moved to that camp, and Sylvia, the wife, had driven past while I was still stuck on that tree stump. And so she had told him, as well as 2 or 3 other people. So he knew it happened. But I had gone to him and I had apologized, and I felt like an absolute idiot. And he said, "I heard about it, and I was waiting to see if you were going to tell me about it." because you didn't try to hide it and didn't try to weasel your way out of it. I forget what exact word he used, but that's essentially what he meant. He handed me the key right back and said, "Thank you for being honest. And as far as I can tell, no real harm done. And I think you're never going to do that again." And never did.
Welcome to being an adult.
That's right.
It was wild. This is also the same brother. Years later, I had a bulldog mix, and he had a quarter wolf, 3/4 Malamute dog. And they usually got along, but this one day, his dog Tahoe was just growling, barking, and just being a little turd. And so I had my dog sitting just a few feet away, and I kind of got down on Tahoe's face and grabbed her by the scruff, and I was like, "Tahoe, knock it off. Quit growling at Spike." And he happened to walk out and was just leaning against his door, and he said, "She's a quarter wolf. I don't know if I'd ever do that again." That was it.
Go let him know
Didn't
that.
scold me. Didn't get angry that I was trying to tell his dog what to do. And he's just taught me to see things a little bit differently.
Gentlemen, I got to get going. I've got an 11-year-old boy to get to bed.
Yep, I started to say we're running a little late. It's time to wrap it up, but we should definitely do so next month. Be prepared, everybody, with your dumb driving stories. We got to hear Will's, so he gets to listen in on ours. So
Awesome.
Be prepared for that next month. We'll do that.
Hey, Lloyd, one last thing before you split.
Yep.
Yeah, that car story I gave at the very beginning of the hour, I didn't quite finish it off. After all that business with the engine and all the other stuff and that huge expense, I went in there with a air conditioning problem. I've still got an air conditioning problem. I'm going to take it in when I get back from Scotland.
You're in Washington. You don't need air conditioning.
Climate change, dude. Climate change, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Good night. Guys.
Good night. See you, John.
Thanks for hanging out.
Later.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you all.
Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again next month.
You betcha. Take care.
All right.
Shalom.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.
For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. Check out the Facebook page, The Armed Lutheran, or join our Facebook group, Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. If you like what you hear, please leave us a comment on our feedback page at armedlutheran.us/feedback or a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening to Armed Lutheran Radio, a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.